I believe that every movie adheres to the 29-point story structure. No matter if the writer outlines first or if they dive in blind, the end product follows the same 29 beats. Sherlock Holmes is my 50th piece of evidence. My love for the Sherlock Holmes extended universe runs deep, so much so that offshoot Enola Holmes inspired this channel. It's with my chest cavity full of love that the man himself is the center focus of my 50th video. And what better movie to break down than the one where Tony Stark cosplays the part. Guy Ritchie threw everything he had into this film, borrowing a bit from Snatch more than once, and created a Sherlockian masterpiece. Downey, Law, and McAdams came alive in their roles, each in perfect command over their versions of the characters, and the massive caper, with cast and crew alike, came together in perfect harmony thanks to the 29-point story structure. Let's begin. A tight focus on the core elements of the protagonist's personality, inner conflict, and situation. We're introduced to the scrambling yet clever problem solving of our dear consulting detective and his sidekick, best friend, and fan club president, Dr. Watson, as they kick ass and solve crimes. Where, why, and how the protagonists exist in their world, with a focus on why they don't quite fit in. While Watson prepares for his new life as a newlywed, Sherlock wallows in his depression, suffering from the agony of boredom, and the Blackwood case lingers in want of a hanging. A singular event that's never happened before and is destined to lead the characters away from their status quo. Watson tricks Sherlock into facing the woman stealing his sidekick away. An examination of what's different in light of the something new was the same in spite of it in relation to the status quo. Sherlock suffers the information overload of a public setting while under the influence of boredom. Then he displays his dispassionate deduction skills to the demise of a wonderful evening. The discovery that things are less than ideal, or an exploration of how badly things are. Sherlock hustles for his rent money when he's between jobs, betting on his own skills. But the faintest whisper of Irene Adler is almost his undoing. Then Lord Blackwood sends for Sherlock before his hanging. Characters dedicate their effort to a specified goal, which is smaller in scope than the primary objective of the third act. Sherlock states his newfound preoccupation with bringing order to chaos, and tries to hold on to the old vibe he and Watson enjoyed. A brief checklist of the story elements needed for the second act. Sherlock Holmes, a clever mastermind, and the mystery between them. The singular event that launches the characters into the wild jungle of the second act, also called an oh shit moment. Lord Blackwood is hanged, his sorcery extinguished and his mortality proven, though his words remain. Oh shit. Characters must learn all new rules and expectations distinct to this adventure. Sherlock scrambles to gather his wits during an unexpected visit from Irene Adler, who offers him a case like a paying customer, very suspicious, and it's revealed that she's at the bidding of a mysterious benefactor. Characters showcase their ability to grow in the areas this adventure requires, typically through external means. Sherlock tracks Irene long enough to confirm her lethality, and confirm his own suspicions that said benefactor exists. Characters face legitimate and understandable reasons to deviate from their stated convictions, agendas, or desires. Sherlock notes Irene's fear, and Watson encourages him to leave it be. The news reaches 221B Baker Street that Lord Blackwood has risen from the grave, and Sherlock prods Watson into tagging along for the case, just like old times. An escalation of problems that vex the characters. Watson complains of a compromised crime scene. Sherlock sniffs around the blasted open mortuary. Irene's case entwines with Blackwood's. An eyewitness shakes off shock in time to bathe the scene in spooky context. Then Sherlock steals evidence. Characters evolve internally by utilizing everything they've gathered and learned. Sherlock helps Watson deduce the clue inherent in the watch, then helps him see what life would be like while shackled to a wife, then helps him see the same thrill he gets from gambling he gets from case solving. Journey-weary characters reconcile the reality of their ongoing situation with who they were in the first act. Sherlock and Watson hunt for clues to why Irene's Act 1 missing man fills Blackwood's coffin. They realize they stumbled onto an active crime scene like they did in the opening, and we're treated to some great fight choreography, not unlike the gritty boxing in the first act. A singular event that strikes at the protagonist's core conflict. Sherlock's cornered suspect confirms that Blackwood is alive again and making moves, and there's no turning back from here. Characters find needed answers for both external and internal conflicts. The dangers inherent in chasing down criminals requires them both for safety's sake, but the legendary dynamic between them suffers from them finally wanting two different things. The clarified objective is realized in part or in whole, though it's meaningless without the completion of the primary objective. Sherlock is released from jail, but it comes from a source that pulls him deeper into the mystery. He accepts the case, but only to tease out the truth behind the magic. An existential conflict that wounds the character's sense of self, worldly identity, or their journey. Sherlock rushes to Irene Adler to sweep her from the path of danger, but she spikes the wine to allow herself an escape without his tail. Sir Thomas is killed, then the police sweep Sherlock from a very compromising scene. An undeniable win for the protagonist, typically in direct connection to the rebirth. Sherlock is transported to the recent crime scene and finds a spooky altar behind a false wall, then helps himself to the evidence. A grand loss directly connected to the character's newfound inability to quit the journey. Lord Blackwood ascends to the top of the spooky secret society, then Watson takes the bait, shirks his responsibilities, and chases Sherlock on another adventure. A thematic freefall tied directly to the heavy price. They infiltrate the suspected factory, then must save Irene from the fate of pig slaughter, and a corridor of explosions ensures Blackwood's escape. A singular event that robs the protagonist of seemingly any chance of success. Sherlock is warned that he's a wanted man, and escapes the crime scene as a fugitive. Characters cannot return to their starting personas, and must turn to face the primary objective. Irene's mysterious benefactor refuses to release her from his grip. Mary deduces a Sherlockian disguise and encourages him to solve this case in vengeance for Watson's injuries. Then Sherlock delves into the deepest annals of logic, drug use, and the supernatural mindset. Characters move toward the climax while utilizing the major swings and sneaky misdirections of the story. Watson and Irene, both sides of Sherlock's psyche, swarm to his aid again. He explains his wild rabbit hole to again arrive at a benign and logical conclusion. He's again escorted to the powers that be for a showdown of sorts, then tricks and misdirects his way to every little tidbit he needs to finish off the case. The final confrontation between the protagonist and the antagonistic force. The trio scrambles to shut down the chemical weapon before the timer ticks down, while Lord Blackwood sets the stage for his miracle in the center of government. Irene leads Sherlock away from the disarmed device, then Blackwood catches up with them both to put his world domination plan back on track. The singular event where the protagonist finally confronts their place in the status quo. Sherlock finally gains the upper hand over Blackwood, capturing the villain mastermind. The direct aftermath of the climax. We're treated to the brilliant deductions of the consulting detective as he reveals the truth of the mystery. Then Blackwood hangs. The consequences of the climax in relation to other characters and the status quo. Sherlock checks that Irene is okay, and she names Moriarty as her mysterious benefactor. A tight focus on the protagonist contrasted from the opening. Sherlock unravels the last tiny mystery of Blackwood's resurrection, proving his warm and friendly vibe with Watson and Mary both, then lays the groundwork for the sequel. And there you have it, my 50th example to support my argument that all movies follow the exact same story structure, regardless of how the writer approaches their craft. Sherlock Holmes opted for a summer blockbuster format with a slightly extended and action-packed third act, yet held rigidly close to every step of the 29-point story structure. But does this period mystery follow the same plot beats as the fifth and, as of now, final installment to an unlikely swashbuckling franchise that hasn't quite missed the mark yet? Yes, it arguably does. Next on my docket, Pirates of the Caribbean: Dead Men Tell No Tales. Please subscribe to stay up to date with this and future videos, and please like and comment with your thoughts and reactions. I'll talk at you next time.